सारदेश्वरि हे भवतारिणि सारदे हे सारदे ईश्वरी
Revered Swami Shantatmanandaji Maharaj is our head of our Gurugram center. Previously, he was head of Ramakrishna Mission, Delhi. He has come on the way to Alsur to visit the monks here. On this occasion, I requested Revered Maharaj to address all of you. He will be speaking for about 15-20 minutes. Revered Maharaj is a very scholarly monk, and also he was the head of our audit department in Belur Math. He spent long years in our Belur Math. Had the occasion to stay with him for several years. So I request Revered Swamiji to address you.
ओम स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतार वरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयो श्रित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। नमः श्री इतिराजाय विवेकानंद सूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे। Revered monks of the ashrama and their devotees, it's a joyous occasion to be here for this beautiful ashrama. I was once coming by air some destination to Delhi. So beside me was sitting a person from Art of Living. So he repeatedly asked me, what is the deity that you worship in your temples? So when I told him again and again, it's Ramakrishna, he could not even believe. So he was saying, how is it, how is it? So the divine play of Sri Ramakrishna as an incarnation of God is understood by very few. That's why in the Mangalacharan to the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Master Moshe has quoted the verse from the Bhagavata. It says, Savakatamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham Sravana Mangalam Srimadatatam Bhuvigranandye Bhurida Janaha. Your Kathamrita, the nectar of words, is like a elixir to those who have been burnt in this fire of samsara. And great kavis and munis have sung its praise. And it removes all kalmasha, all the negativities or all the evil propensities, whatever you might call it. And then he says, hearing itself is full of auspiciousness or mangala. So even then, why is it that people are not taking to it in large numbers? It says only those who had done great acts of merit in the previous janmas, they alone will find a taste to this. So that is the glory of Sri Ramakrishna that Master Moshe has given to us through that Mangalacharana. So, Bhagavan, the Gita, he says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata bhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamaham paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Says again and again, the Lord comes to earth for protecting the good and for destroying the evil. And at the end he says, for dharma samsthapana. It's not for creating any new dharma. The eternal sanatana dharma is to be re-established. What is there to be re-established? If it is there, it is always there. Sanatana dharma is always there. But people forget it. The human mind, the human tendency is subject to forgetfulness. So an avatara comes, he enacts his divine play, and the influence slowly spreads. Then it reaches a crescendo, and then it starts declining in the sense that people forget the real purpose of life, the glory of life, and they take to the ways of adharma. Then again, there is an occasion for the coming of an avatara once again. Again he comes. So every avatara, the main purpose is to re-establish the Sanatana Dharma. Not only that, he leaves behind a wonderfully adorable form and also shows a path which is suited for the times in which people live. Sri Ramakrishna himself says in the Gospel, the coin of an earlier era would not be valid in the current time. Navavira maler mudra, Bhashaya maler mudra, Navabe maler solbena. So the coin of an earlier era will not be valid at a later time. You also want a currency which is valid, which is a legal tender as they call. So, to suit the times of the present day, Sri Ramakrishna says, in Kali Yuga, it is annagata pran. People are so much bothered by the basic necessities of life. He says, like olden days, we cannot do that kind of intense tapasya with long jata and all that. He says, the old mixture will not work. You want the medicine of D. Gupta, which is a new medicine like antibiotics. So he says, he once asked one of his devotees, Vaikuntha Sanyal, Tumiki Panchadashi podo naki? Do you read books like Panchadashi? And he has not even heard about it. Shiki Moshai, what is that? Bah, hapchade baslam. I am relieved that you have not even heard about it. Katagulu jata chele, isho pode tode ashe, God jole jai. Says a few youngsters who read here and there and come and ask useless questions, my very bones are burnt. So what he meant was that it's not possible for that kind of an intensity, that kind of an extraordinary life of tapasya. But in this Kali Yuga, then what is the way? See, Master Moshe, who used to come to him very regularly, was deeply influenced. His whole life was transformed by his contact with Sri Ramakrishna. Asked him several times, in the Kathamrita. Can a householder realize God? Because, he was a sincere sadhaka, no doubt. But whenever he was in the presence of Sri Ramakrishna, it used to be a different world altogether. It used to be a world of joy, a world of tremendous spiritual uplift. He used to feel so uplifted. But the moment he would go back to his home, again, back to the square one, same old story. Fight between his wife and his mother and terrible problems of samsara. So he was wondering, what would happen to my life? He knew that Sri Ramakrishna was not going to live forever. So what would happen if this Mahapurusha goes away? Even when he is alive, in his presence, I feel differently. When I go back home, it is totally different. So what would happen? So genuinely he asked him. Several times he asked the same question, again and again. Is it possible for a householder to realize God? And every time Sri Ramakrishna would assure him, it is possible, it is possible. But he would always give certain disciplines. He would say it's easy, but then he would give, if you follow those disciplines, it's much difficult than perhaps what was being done in ancient times. But he would put it in a language which everybody would understand. He would always say, Nirjan Vas, living in solitude, Satsanga or Sadhu Sangha, and singing the names and glories of the Lord, and praying with intense vyakulata or longing of heart. These are some of the things he would care. But quite often he would again and again talk about Satsanga or Sadhu Sangha or the company of the holy. See, Satsanga is of various types. It will be wonderful if you can really get the company of an extraordinary holy person. Even in Kali Yuga, that also has become a big challenge. Who is a real holy man? For every single good holy man, there are 100 fake holy men also. And it's very difficult. And people don't have time. So perhaps, in this Kali Yuga, one of the best forms of satsanga is the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna itself. Such an extraordinary satsanga. For Sri Ramakrishna, one of our great Swamis, Swami Tapasanji, always used to say, what is satsanga? No, it is being in the thoughts of those great men, reading those books, immersing oneself in those thoughts. You may not directly get the physical company of anybody, but supposing you go through all that, you read the books of some extraordinary souls. In that sense, the greatest kind of satsanga can be the regular study of the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Of course, there is a method. It's not to be read like a rapid reader. One has to read it slowly, deliberately, diligently, few pages every year. Then next day try to go through in one's mind what we did read yesterday. Whether does it make sense? Whether does it resonate in my heart? Whether I find a meaning in it? Because, you see, when Francis of Assisi, he and a few of his young companions, when they broke away and started a new monastic order, they went through extremely difficult times. They set out on their journey from a very famous church, and then they had to face quite a lot of persecution in their initial days. Nobody would believe them. Nobody will give them space. So when they had extremely difficult situations, they would always come back to the very church from which they started their journey. There used to be a huge Bible in their church. They will bring it down. They will all sit in prayer and open that Bible. In that very page, they will find the solution for their problem. The same way, if you have deep that kind of faith in Sri Ramakrishna, this gospel of Sri Ramakrishna can give you extraordinary revelations, solutions to life's problems. It's not mere text. It's a manual of life. A very small book in Kannada, because that has been translated in English. It was written by the great literary giant of Karnataka, Kuvempu. He says, having this Kathamrita in your house is like having a temple in your house. He says, having this Kathamrita is like Ganga flowing in your house. He says, it's like a stick when you climb a mountain. It's a support, such a great support. When you walk in uneven land, how it helps you to find your way. He says, in darkness, it's like something which shows the light. It goes on and on about this Kathamrita. So, if you read it that way, again and again, one reading will not do. Any number of times. The more you read it, you find it as more revelations. More and more will be revealed to you. And Sri Ramakrishna always talks in very beautiful, small parables of some daily life occurrence which is relevant to our life. So, but each of those examples, quite often, he refers to them again and again, repeatedly. Several times, the same thing you will find being repeated in the gospel. But quite often the contexts are slightly different. And not only that, when you read them again and again, when you meditate on them, and if you lead a life of sadhana, you will find deeper and deeper meaning in each one of those. So one such example we will discuss, and then we will close, because we are reaching almost the time that was given to us. Maybe another 2-3 minutes are there. Sri Ramakrishna says, how to live in the world? In answer to this question, he says, you live like the maid in a rich man's house. Sri Ramakrishna says, the lady, she takes care of the children of the house, saying that my Rama, my Krishna, she pours her love on those children. But she knows that her own real children are back home and her mind is there only. Although she is working here with all sincerity and all efficiency, yet her mind is there. The love she showers on these children is real. It is not fake or duplicity or hypocrisy. She really loves them. But yet her mind is always on her children back home. Sri Ramakrishna says, in this world, do all your duties with all sincerity, but keep your mind on God. It's very easy, very simple. Then why we are not able to do it? Why can't we do this? Sri Ramakrishna says a very simple thing. Do all your duties and keep your mind on God. Why can't we do this? Because there are many hidden aspects in this example. For example, the lady, although she pours her love on these children and she is very true and loyal and so on, she knows the moment she does anything wrong, immediately she will be thrown out. However much she might plead, I love your Rama and Krishna so much. No, you go. We don't want you. And she also does not break down and suffer a heart attack or anything. Happily she goes to the next home to find new Ramas and new Krishnas and new Sitas and Savitris and all that. She doesn't hesitate at all. You loved them so much. How can you be loved with them? I know, I was there. So, she knows that although I do all my duty with so much of sincerity, although I love all these children so much, yet my world, this world where I am putting everything, this world is unreal. This world is not permanent. This world is unreal. This can collapse any time. That knowledge is very clear in our mind. Why we are not able to do our duties in this world like that? Because for us, this world is absolutely real. Everything is so attaching to us, so binding on us. So we cannot be like that. The maidservant knows for certain The world where she is doing so much, it's absolutely unreal and can collapse anytime. So she is ever prepared. In her heart there is not that kind of attachment which will make her collapse or suffer a heart attack or immediate death. She might plead a little, but immediately she will pack her baggage, go and find a job elsewhere to take care of new children without hesitating even a second. But for us, this world is so real, we cannot give it up even for a second. Something happens, we are so attached, so much we are bothered for everything, we cannot give it up. People don't want us, even at old age, no, without me they cannot. No one wants you, but yet we cannot give up. So, unless this unreality of the world, the impermanence of the world, unless that strikes us very prominently, unless we develop that what we call that world weariness, that aniha or asar, is samsara, if we experience that asar nature, this samsara has no sar, there is no substance, it is impermanent, it can perish, it can collapse, it is unreal. Even in a small way, unless we start feeling it, we can never translate that example of Sri Ramakrishna in our life. That's our biggest problem and greatest difficulty. That's one. Second, see, to that maid servant, her children back home, nobody need tell her that, oh, they are your real children, you must keep your mind on them, they are everything for you. Does anyone have to tell? She knows spontaneously, they are my own. Nobody need tell. She may be living 1,000 miles away, but heart is always on those children, fixed on them, because her knowledge that those children are my own is absolutely clear, unambiguous, without any doubt. So her mind automatically, spontaneously, without any specific, does it? No, I must not forget them. I must remember my children, they are there. Does anyone have to remind her? It is spontaneous. In our case, God is a word. It's a shabda matra. What do we know of God? It's only an idea. Somewhere we heard something, maybe read some book, something, it's all very hazy, unclear. So how can we place our mind on God? Can we place our mind on something which is unreal? Please, people can place our minds on their son, or wife, or property, or money, or games, or music, or something, because these are all real to us. We think that these are real. We are able to keep our mind. But God is only a vague, some indirect, hazy idea. So, unless we develop that kind of a relationship with God, Thakur again and again talks about it. Thakur had this. मैं माहिर संतान हूँ. I am the helpless, ever mother-dependent child. That was his attitude. Like that somewhere, each one of us, unless we develop that kind of an attitude towards our own Ishta or God or whomsoever we worship, unless that happens in our life, we cannot keep our mind on God. So, apparently when you read this example, it looks so simple. Do your duties in the world, sincerity, keep your mind on God. But we are not able to do. Because these are some of the major obstacles for us. This world is absolutely real. In some way or other, unless we learn that this world is unreal, we see it, we suffer. Every day it happens. But again we patch up, again we get it. So much we have seen, so much of sorrow, suffering. There is not a single house which has not suffered any sorrow or suffering. But again we patch up, again we bring reality in it. We assume, and again we get involved. So that is why no end to our suffering. Similarly, unless we learn to develop some kind of a relationship with God, some with attitude, it is not possible to keep our mind on God. So that is why this is a beautiful example of Sri Ramakrishna. To make it work in our life, we need these things. So the gospel is full of such examples, full of such parables, real life incidents, wherefrom we can learn But for that, reading of gospel should become a great spiritual practice, not just turn a few pages here or there. Does it become a serious spiritual sadhana? Does it do the work of a satsanga? Does it give us that effect? Then probably we will benefit enormously from the study of the gospel. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Maybe on some other occasion we will spend more time together. Thank you, Bodha Swarupanji. Thanks for this opportunity. Namaskar.